Here we are at question 20 of LSAT PrepTest 158's second section, the first logical reasoning section, and we're going to read the question stem with our highlight tool selected as always to identify what we're being asked to do for this problem. And reading question 20, we see each of the following, if true, contributes to an explanation of the repressor's characteristics mentioned above except. And anytime we have an exception task, we have to highlight the exception in a different color. So we've got the task in the affirmative highlighted in orange, and we've got the exception highlighted in yellow. And we're going to use these highlights to keep track of what we're actually supposed to do with this problem ultimately. But for now, we're going to go back to the orange highlight because we need to highlight whatever the conclusion is regarding the repressor's characteristics. And there may not be an exact conclusion, but what those repressor's characteristics are ultimately going to be our de facto conclusion that we want to focus upon. So, reading from the top of the prompt on the left-hand side, a research psychologist used a personality test to classify high school students as repressors, people who repress upsetting thoughts and feelings from conscious awareness, or as sensitizers, those especially attuned to internal states who freely express distress. The researcher found that compared to sensitizers, the repressors were less shy and anxious, could better tolerate frustration, and had superior social skills, higher grades, and a greater sense of self esteem. So, we're going to just highlight in that orange what was found about the repressors, that they, compared to the sensitizers, were less shy and anxious, could better tolerate frustration, had superior social skills, higher grades, and a greater sense of self-esteem, even though they repress upsetting thoughts and feelings compared to the sensitizers who are attuned to those internal states of upset and freely express that distress. So when we're going through the answer choices, if we highlight something that explains it, we're going to do it in orange, and we're going to eliminate the answer choice because we want the answer choice that doesn't explain the repressor's characteristics. So starting with choice A, repressors are better able than sensitizers to focus on their work and to avoid distractions. So if we just highlight repressors focus on their work and avoid distractions, well, that explains why they'd have higher grades and are better at tolerating frustration and all of these other good things. So we can eliminate choice A as something that does explain the repressor's characteristics. Next, choice B, repressors are less apt than sensitizers to alienate people by expressing their emotions. Well, again, this explains why the repressors have superior social skills and maybe a greater sense of self-esteem and are less shy and anxious. So we highlight once again in orange and we eliminate choice B. Then choice C, parents and other caregivers tend to reward repressors more than they reward sensitizers for academic performance and social behavior deemed desirable. Again, it's kind of abstract. It's not necessarily something that I come up with, but I say this kind of, again, shows why the repressors would be better at all of these things that we highlighted in orange. Next, we've got choice D. Some psychologists have hypothesized that the desire to maintain social and academic success and self esteem strengthens repressors' tendency to repress upsetting thoughts and feelings. Well, this is when we switch to our other color because some psychologists have hypothesized. Are they right? We have no indication that they are. And even if they are, just because this is the desire that strengthens the repressor's tendency to do the repressing doesn't explain why that repressing is successful. So this one in the other color indicating the exception is going to end up being our correct answer. And moving through choice E, and you probably do really want to go through all 5 answer choices, perhaps more, even so, with exception tasks, we're going to make sure that there is a reason that explains the repressor's characteristics in choice E before moving on. But we've got sensitizers tend to focus more than repressors do on the difficulties of succeeding in their projects, and I don't even really have to finish that. That's clearly going to be an explanation of why the repressors are better at all these things than the sensitizers are. And you can see how the highlighting tool is really imperative to make sure that you address an exception task, such as question 20, correctly to arrive at the right answer, which in this case is D.